I'm going to be demonstrating today is the proper technique to using a manual plate mounter. We used automatic plate mounters or manual plate mounters. It's really dependent upon the situation you're in. This is great though. I think that every press should have one of these by its side. Even if you have somebody who mounts your plates for you, there's always going to be a time when the pressman needs a plate mounter. What I'm going to do is just carry you through the simple steps of the way we do it here on our plate mounter that's provided by ConverSource. I'm going to first take the cylinder, secure it in. I'll do this by putting the two holes into the lock position. Hold it straight. Make sure this groove lines up square with the head. Make sure this is tight, just like a die. Don't want no side-to-side movement. Spin it, make sure everything's nice. Okay, I'm gonna take some kind of light solvent, alcohol, clean my cylinder off. That'll prevent any oils or anything of that nature from your hand or from the last time the cylinder was being used. That'll keep the sticky back tape from wanting to stick to the cylinder. I don't want that. Just take and dust it off lightly. Dries up real quick. Next thing I want to do is I want to locate my score. Every cylinder has scores in it. This is designed where you cut your tape at. You should always cut in the tape. One of the good things you can do is buy ceramic cylinders or hard case cylinders. Even with them, they have scores. You need to stay inside the line. On this particular cylinder here, it is important that you cut inside the line because more and more I see cylinders that are just cut up. That changes the diameter of the cylinders. That changes your OD. Get peripheral tape, go in, mic your cylinders, and you'll see a big difference. If you're having trouble getting jobs to register, I can almost guarantee you your cylinders are cut up. So make sure that your cylinders are in good shape. What I'm going to do now is I've located my score. I want to butt this up against here real smooth, and then I'm just going to let that flap down just a little bit past my score mark. I want to make sure I get it good and centered up. Now then, I'm going to take my knife. I want to find the score, and it's important that I cut in that score. Do it fast. Don't do it slow. If you do it fast, you'll get a good smooth cut every time. If you do it slow, and I see people just taking these knives and just cranking down and pushing on them, you can't do that. Do it fast, it'll be a good smooth cut. Now then I want to smooth my tape from side to side. If you just do it in the middle, it's going to have air bubbles on the side. I want to get it good and smooth all the way across. And I do this by turning it pretty fast. And I'll come right back around to my score. I use my fingernail to push down and get me a good smooth line. You can use your knife, whatever you want to use. I suggest you get a good score mark in it, though. It'll help pull the blade through there a little bit straighter and evener. Now I've got a good seam. Everything's good and smooth. I'm ready to pull my backing off. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a highlighter. Any highlighter will do. This is a yellow highlighter. Don't use like a Sharpie magic marker or something because this is designed to prevent the plate from sticking to the tape, not to make the plate stick to the tape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my highlighter and I'm going to put it right down the seam of my tape where it comes together. Make sure I cover that seam good, and then I'm just going to color in around it. Make me a good wide spot right there. So when I do have to adjust my plate as I'm mounting it, I don't have to worry about lifting that tape up. Now then, I'm running this plate as a number 4. I need to put my straight line across there. With this being a manual plate mounter, I always push down as I do it. I'm also making sure my gear and my ruler line up because this will move side to side as you lift it up and down. Understanding that and understanding how to use this, it's a very friendly plate mounter, but it's like everything else. If you just use it and think it's going to work right, you'll be wrong. Everything you need to be trained on, you need to understand how it works, and you need to use it properly. I'll push down on this because that gives me a straight line across here to start with. I've also marked my spot so that I can mark on my tape where my bearers go. Here, I'm running a rewind number 4, as I said. My bearers have straight lines in it. If you're not running bearers, you're messing up. They're simply tires that go around to keep rubber to rubber. This prevents you from running waste. It prevents you from running a poor quality. Every job you run should have bearers on it. And you wouldn't believe the number of people who do not run bearers. Now I can line up, and what I want to do, because I cut this straight edge on this plate, I know for a fact it's probably crooked. So I'm going to use the next nicks under it in my bearers because I know they're straight to each other. I'm going to simply line them up, making sure everything's perfect. Okay, spin it around. Now if it's a little bit off, and it has to be straight, you just cannot take it off the plate mounter till it's straight. Always pull from the middle of the plate, not from one side or the other. And just take the air out. Now that, most people would consider that straight. But you can't let it be almost straight. It has to be straight on both sides. And that's it. I'll spin it, and if it's not, I'll see my bearers walk side to side. All right. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to set up each print station. Here again, everything's very pressman friendly. The print stations break down completely like we have them right now. This drawer slides in and out. Each of these bearings, it runs very smooth on. They pop out of the press. You can clean this bottom tray and they pop right back in. Very simple. What you have on the back is a lock mechanism or a safety so that this drawer don't come all the way out. It's right there. Phillips head or hex head screwdriver will pull them straight out. Then you can pull this whole drawer out if you have to and go to the sink. Most of the time we don't have to do that, but we do it every now and then. Once this is pulled out of this nature, now I'm ready to set my first drawer in. First thing I want to do is I want to have my drawer facing in the right direction. I want to make sure that it's clean on the bottom. Now I'm going to have it set in here. And it has to fit just right. Everything about any press is metal to metal. If it don't fit right, it's not going to work right. So what I got to do is I got to make sure I get this lined up. And then I'm going to lift my lock lever over here, push it in place, and it's locked. One thing I do, and here again, you know, when you're setting up a job or something, you're doing this a lot faster. But I'll automatically go ahead and push my station in and roll it forward. What that does is that tells me that it's right. Now I can lock it in, and it's locked in. Let me show you what I'm talking about here when I go to lock it in. Each station has these bars on it right here, and this is what our lock mechanisms right here lock in on. When I lift this lock and the symbol of the lock right there up and down, that catches this groove and locks that station in place. So when I roll that in and lock it in and it locks down and I got a tight seal here, I know that everything's put together right. So I do it as I'm going along just to make sure of a check. So everything's set right there. My next step, as I've got everything set here, my drawers fit in good. And here again, you know, this being so pressman friendly, it makes everything simple, but your press could be different. The key thing is that everybody's doing it the same way, doing it step by step, the correct way. So keep that in mind as you watch us do this. First thing I want to drop into place is my metering roll. Here again, this is metal to metal. If it ain't right, it will not fit. This is a very simple process. The first thing I should put in is my metering roll, stand behind it, hold it like so that I can control it. I don't want to get my fingers in there. I can set it right there, and when it's set in the right place, it drops right in place. Nothing to it so whatever. When I'm taking it out, I do the same thing. One thing you want to be aware of, though, is make sure your screws that push your metering roller and engage it up are backed off, because that'll make it a little tight fit. Second thing I want to do is put my pan in. Now, one thing I do with my pan is I'll go ahead and put my stopper in before I put my pan in. That way I can apply good pressure to it. I get it a little wet so that it seats in there real well, and that tends to give me a little bit more benefit when I'm setting up my station. I'm going to simply slide this in. I have a lever right here. It's going to be pushed down, twisted, and locked into position. I'll slide the lip of my pan straight under here. When it's all the way up, lock it in place like so. After I put my pan in and it's secured, I now want to put in drip pan, simply catch any splash that might come out while we're running. It fits in like so, very simple, designed to be there. They make disposable drip pans. They make all kinds of unique things. I like the kind we wash up. It don't take that long. But as long as you're running something under there to catch ink, because you are going to spill some ink, it helps keep your press clean. Now this station is ready to go, with the exception of my Analox roll and my Dr. Blade. I'll be putting that in next. As I start to put my Analox roll in, I want to call your attention to the way it's brought to us. We have wraps, Velcro wraps, and these really, really work well. I don't care how you store your Analox rolls, no matter what, when they get brought back and forth to press, they're going to get dinged, bent, hit. This protects a $1,200, $1,800 investment. The extra $30 you spend on this is well worth it. If you're not currently wrapping your Analox rolls and you're pulling them in and out of presses, you are making a mistake that's going to cost money, downtime, consistency problems, the whole 9 yards. So keep in mind when you're using your Analox rolls, we need to really baby them and take care of them. I like the wraps myself. All right, next thing we're going to do is put our Analox roll in. We're going to do this from the front side of the press. A couple of things I want to call your attention to is the way I hold this. I'm going to put this Analox roll bearings right in my finger so that I don't get my hand caught in any gears or anything of that nature. I also don't have to touch it with my hands. I can simply line it up, move it side to side, whatever I want to do. I need to seat it right inside them grooves and then set it down. I don't want to hit my pan edge. I don't want to hit on these edges. So as long as I'm picking it up like that, I'm going to be okay. Once I start trying to do something different, you will see exactly what I mean. Very pressman friendly. I can change this Analox roll in a few seconds. Pull it out, simply just pull it out, put the next one in. Very pressman friendly, very convenient, but that's the way that works. Next, we're going to put our Dr. Blade in. This is probably the most dangerous product in your shop. I think more people get hurt with these than anything. The reason being is this is a very sharp edge. These holders tend to get dropped and they try to catch it, they cut, they bump up against